As of this Monday, Spain's borders are open to all vaccinated travelers from all over the world. The lockdowns necessitated by the coronavirus pandemic made many of us rethink our relationships to each other and to our environment. Those relationships are the topic of a new exhibition called Science Friction: Living Among Companion Species. It opens June 12th at Barcelona's Center of Contemporary Culture. It asks us to abandon the idea of human superiority and imagine a world where all living creatures coexist in a different way. Joining us to talk about it is the show's curator, Maria Ptqk. Maria, thank you so much for joining us. Can you just start by telling us about the show and the inspiration behind it?
Well, the show is somewhere in between a weird science museum and an art exhibition, and it is based actually on the scientific fact that all life on Earth is interdependent. All living forms are interdependent, are connected to one another, because life on Earth is the product of symbiosis. And so evolution might be regarded not as a tree with a human at the top of it, but why not as a network of collaborations and exchanges. So that's why we suggest why not think twice about human suprematism and think rather of forms of collaborative existence.
You said it's part science museum, part art exhibition. Can you describe some of the works in the show that people would come and see?
Yeah, the works are really diverse. So we have a 3D installation. For instance, Tree Hugger by Marshmallow Laser Fist, which is a British art collective. And the visitor is invited to go inside a giant sequoia and follow the journey of a drop of water through this huge structure. And there's also an installation called MyConnect, which is a kind of device for communication between human and fungi. You know, fungi are not very well known living form and quite amazing in its capacities. So this device connects the heartbeat of the human that it's inside the capsule to a network of mycelium in the installation that gives back responses in form of light, sound, and movement. There's also painting, there's a lot of drawing, there's a sculpture, and we have produced a film, and we are quite happy about it. That has been co-produced with Pompidou in Paris, with Donna Haraway and Vincent Deprez, which are two main philosophers of science of today. The film is directed by Diana Toucedo, and we will be showing it on Saturday 12 for the first time, and then you can also see it in the exhibition.
No, you began.
But there are many artworks, and I believe it's an exhibition that raises serious issues, but I think it's also fun and entertaining, because it is mostly an invitation to rediscover the world of the living world around us, not maybe with a new gaze, but it's a gaze that we have already, but let's reshape it to see and understand that there are many ways of being alive in the planet.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun. Now, you began researching these topics before the coronavirus pandemic, but I'm curious if the events of the past year maybe gave you new thoughts about the relationship between humans and our planet.
Well, in fact, it's an exhibition that comes from a previous project that was originally produced by Espace Virtuel Jeux de Pommes in Paris in 2017. So its origins come way before coronavirus. Of course, the current pandemic situation, I hope, will put us in a situation where we might be more open to listen to that, because the fact that we are all interconnected and interdependent, as I was saying, is a scientific fact. But the pandemic has made it very obvious, and human species, we are just one species among others, and we are quite vulnerable, as we have seen. A tiny biological entity as a virus can change our history. and could destroy us, and could also make us live, because viruses are also in the origin of life, of animal life.
Absolutely. It feels like the perfect illustration of symbiosis. This show also focuses, as you said, on that transition from a human-centered worldview to the idea of humans as part of an ecosystem. Can you talk more about what that transition might look like?
Well, there is an entire section in the show devoted to the movement called the Rights of Nature. You were speaking about the elections in Peru a while ago. The Rights of Nature basically known because of its recognition in the Constitution of Ecuador in 2008. It proposes a recognition of political and legal subjectivity to non-human entities. And this is a real possibility. It's already in several Latin American constitutions, and there are cases, or court cases, that are beginning to recognize this. And it's not so much about the recognition of the legal subjectivity of an individual, like of one animal in particular, but rather of ecosystems. For instance, a mountain or a river, and all the living forms that are connected to this habitat, to this ecosystem. And this is already happening. And it's a way to, for instance, stop extractivism, stop mining, stop real actions that are taking place and that are destroying the environment, not only for humans, but also for all the non-human beings that also have a right to existence, in fact.
Many of these ideas also come from feminist philosophers. Can you also talk about where feminism fits into all of this?
Well, the two main key figures of the show are Lynn Margulis, which is one of the greatest scientific minds of the 20th century, I would say, and she's a promoter of symbiosis. And the other one is Donna Haraway, which is a biologist and a philosopher of science, and mostly known as the author of the Cyborg Manifesto. But it's also someone that has reflected a lot on the idea of companion species, of living together and becoming with. And Donna Haraway is also a feminist philosopher. Feminism, and this is a big issue, but feminism in terms of philosophy, I would say it's a fantastic toolbox to think outside of the box. So we are used to be confronted with the fact of not having legal recognition, for instance, and how the political subjectivity is built, and how we state what is important and what is not important. These are issues that feminism is very used to deal with. So I think it's not by chance that this kind of breakthroughs come from feminist philosophers.
Maria Ptqk, we're going to have to leave it there, but this sounds so interesting. I encourage everyone, if you're in Barcelona, do go to the Contemporary Cultural Center and check out this show, Science Friction.